You have money sitting in your account right now. Not a lot. Maybe $500. Maybe a little more. And it is just sitting there. Not working. Not growing. Not fighting for your future. You told yourself you will invest when you have more. When things settle down. When you understand it better. That day has not come, has it? Here is the truth nobody told you when you landed in this country, or even if you were born here. $500, invested the right way, in the right Canadian account, in the right mix, is not a small start. It is the start. And the person who starts with $500 at 40 is not behind the person who started at 25. They are just playing a different game. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what to do with your first $500 in Canada. Step by step. No fluff, no jargon, and no excuses left when this video ends. Let me tell you what Inaction actually costs you. Not in feelings. In dollars. If you invest $500 today in a growth ETF averaging 7% annually inside a TFSA, and you add just $300 every month after that, in 20 years, you are looking at a portfolio worth over $200,000. $200,000. From $300 a month. Now, here is the part that stings. That entire growth inside a tax-free savings account is 100% yours. The Canada Revenue Agency cannot touch a single dollar of it. Not the growth. Not the dividends. Nothing. But right now, that room is sitting empty. Whether you arrived in Canada 2 years ago, or you were born here and have been working for 20 years, most people in this country have never been told how the TFSA actually works. Not really. Not in a way that made them act. A report from the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada found that over 40% of Canadians could not cover an unexpected $500 expense without borrowing money. Not because they are lazy, not because they do not work hard, because nobody sat them down and explained the mechanics. That ends here. Let us talk about what the data actually says about where Canadians stand with money right now. Because this is not about individual failure. This is a systemic gap in financial education. The most recent survey of financial security from Statistics Canada found that nearly half of Canadian families in the lowest wealth bracket hold zero financial assets outside of any pension they may be enrolled in. Zero. No TFSA. No RRSP. No EDFs. No investments of any kind. And before you say that is just lower-income households, think again. The survey also revealed that a significant portion of middle-income earners are in the same position. Income is not the barrier. Knowledge and habit are the barrier. The Bank of Canada has tracked household financial conditions for years, and their findings consistently show that Canadian households are carrying meaningful levels of non-mortgage consumer debt, while simultaneously saving less than 10% of their monthly income. That is the trap. Debt is eating the future that investing should be building. And here is the one that should bother you the most. The CRA tracks TFSA contribution room across all eligible Canadians. The numbers show that millions of Canadians are carrying years of unused room right now, meaning they qualified for tax-free investing. They never used it. And that room does not expire. It accumulates. So the opportunity is still there. But every year you wait, another year of potential tax-free compounding is gone forever. The point is this. The system exists. The accounts are free to open. The rules are actually in your favor in Canada. The only missing piece is the decision to start. I want to be honest with you for a moment. It is not easy for me to consistently put away $500. Some months it is $300. Some months it is less. Life in Canada is not cheap. You know that. But I made a decision. A real one. Not a resolution. Not a goal I wrote in a notebook. A decision. Every dollar I save is a soldier. A financial soldier deployed to fight for my future independence. With that mindset, I stopped seeing saving as sacrifice. I stopped seeing my Wealthsimple account as something I check when markets are exciting. I see it as a deployment order. Every dollar I send in has a job, and its job is to grow. I'm in my early 40s. I came to understand the North American financial market later than I would have liked. Some of you are in the same position. You spent years building a career in another country, building a family, building a life. And now you are here in Canada, and you are starting to understand that the financial rules are different here. So I got aggressive, intentionally. At least 50% of my invested money goes into growth ETFs, 20% into Canadian equities, 20% into international holdings, and 10% into bonds as a stabilizer. That is not a perfect formula for everyone, but it is my formula built for my timeline and my risk tolerance. And I use Wealthsimple Trade, not because someone paid me to say that. Because it is straightforward, it is commission-free, and it does not make investing feel like you need a finance degree to navigate it. The law of compounding does not care about your feelings. It does not panic when markets dip. It does not celebrate when markets climb. It just works. Quietly. Consistently. Over time. And if there is money left over after my investment contribution, I put it toward upgrading my skills. A higher income means more soldiers. More soldiers means a faster march toward financial independence. That is the system. It is not glamorous, but it is real. Now let us get into exactly what you need to do with your first $500 in Canada. Step by step. You can start this week. Step 1 is to open a TFSA before you do anything else. Before you pick a single stock or ETF, you need the right container. In Canada, the tax-free savings account is the single most powerful tool available to regular investors. Any growth inside that account is completely tax-free. You do not pay tax on dividends. You do not pay tax on capital gains. When you withdraw, it is tax-free. And the room you withdraw comes back to you the following calendar year. If you are a Canadian resident who is 18 or older, you qualify. If you became a permanent resident, your room starts accumulating from the year you became a resident, not from 2009, like those born here. So know your exact room before you contribute. To open a TFSA through Wealthsimple, go to their website or app, create an account, verify your identity, and select a self-directed TFSA when prompted. It takes under 15 minutes. You will need your social insurance number. That is it. Once it is open, your $500 goes in there. Not into a regular taxable account. Not into a savings account earning 1%. Into the TFSA. Step 2 is to choose one simple ETF and stop overthinking it. This is where most new investors freeze. They start researching and they never stop. They compare funds for 6 months and invest nothing. Pick one broad market ETF to start. That is it. 1. In Canada, 3 of the most commonly discussed options for beginner investors are XEQT, VEQT, and XGRO. XEQT and VEQT are all-equity ETFs that hold thousands of companies across Canada, the United States, and internationally inside a single fund. XGRO holds roughly 80% equities and 20% bonds, which is slightly more conservative. If you are in your 40s like me and you want to be aggressive because time is not on your side the way it is for a 25-year-old, XEQT or VEQT aligns with that posture. If you are closer to retirement or simply cannot stomach watching your balance drop in a bad market quarter, XGRO gives you a little cushion. You are not locked in forever. But pick one, buy it with your $500 and get in the market. That decision alone puts you ahead of the 40% of Canadians sitting with zero financial assets. Step 3 is to automate a contribution, even if it is small. $500 is the start. It is not the strategy. The strategy is consistency. Set up a recurring weekly or monthly transfer from your checking account into your TFSA. Even $100. Even $50. The amount matters less than the habit. A $223 monthly investment at 7% average return, started today, becomes over $100,000 in 20 years. Inside Wealthsimple, once your TFSA is funded, you can set a recurring buy order for your chosen ETF. That means every time money lands in the account, it buys more of your fund automatically. You remove emotion from the equation entirely. You do not check the market. You do not panic when it dips. You just keep buying. When the market goes down, your recurring contribution buys more units at a lower price. That is $averaging. And it works in your favor over time. Step 4 is to build your allocation as you grow. Right now, $500 in one solid all-market ETF is entirely appropriate. But as your balance grows, you can begin building toward a more deliberate allocation. The framework I use personally is a starting point for the conversation. At least half in growth-oriented ETFs with global exposure. A portion in Canadian equities, which also gives you currency alignment since you live and spend in Canadian dollars. A portion in international holdings outside North America. And a smaller stabilizer position in bonds, not because you want to play it safe, but because volatility management matters as you get older. You do not need to implement all of this on day one. The goal is to understand the direction, so that as you add more soldiers to the army, each one has a position. Step 5 is to treat skill investment as part of the same system. This is the one most financial videos skip, and it is a mistake. If your income is the input to your investment system, then growing your income is the same as investing more. They are not separate decisions. If you have an extra $200 or $300 after your investment contribution, ask yourself what skill, course, or credential would make you worth more in the Canadian job market within 12 to 18 months. Not a random course. Not general self-improvement. A specific marketable skill that has a measurable income outcome in your industry. A $10 an hour raise compounded over 20 years of contributions into your TFSA is worth more than almost any single ETF decision you will ever make. Income is the foundation. Everything else builds on top of it. So your $500 system looks like this. Open the TFSA. Buy one ETF. Automate a monthly contribution. Build your allocation over time. And invest in your earning power at the same time. That is it. That is the whole system for the first chapter. $500 is not a small amount. It is a decision. And the decision to start, to open the account, to buy the first ETF, to automate the contribution, that decision compounds just like the money does. If this video gave you one thing you are going to do this week, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss what comes next. Because here is the problem nobody warns you about. You can follow every single step I just gave you. Open the TFSA. Pick the ETF. Set the automatic contribution. And then one bad market week hits, your balance drops 3% and something in your brain tells you to stop, to pull out, to wait. That is not a strategy problem. That is a wiring problem. The next video on this channel is called Why Your Brain is Wired to Lose Money and How to Fix It. And it will show you exactly why intelligent, hardworking people in Canada keep making the same financial mistakes, not because they lack information, but because of how the human brain processes loss, risk, and money decisions. You built the system today. The next video teaches you how to protect it from yourself. I am Charles. This is Wealthy with Charles. The work is just getting started.